Okay. So, yet again, we can't remember what we were going to talk about from last week.
Don't know why we're surprised.
I feel like I've got a pretty good one to talk about here. Love bombing.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, you wrote a thing about this, didn't you? Yes. Let's talk about that.
I did write a thing because it's also quite topical because of this whole like stalker baby reindeer thing. I don't know if you've watched it.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay.
But I'm happy to talk about it.
It's a very controversial program because Netflix are getting all kinds of flack for the fact that it might actually not be as truthful as they say it's a true story of. However, I don't know if you can relate to love bombing. Obviously not the sinister kind, because there is a sinister type of love bombing which is often talked about, which is all about manipulation. However, I have experienced love bombing myself in the past, being completely uncontrollable, exhilarated, and totally obsessed by somebody, and it not being about manipulation at all. It has just been all about my own excitement. And sometimes it's felt a little bit overwhelming, especially if it was unrequited.
Yes. I can totally relate to that. It's like a hyperfocus, but on a person.
Oh! Yes, it's it can get very uncomfortable, can't it? I mean, in the beginning, it feels very, very exciting, but it can start to feel quite wearing and uncomfortable and tiring if it goes on for too long and you don't actually either start a relationship with somebody or manage to like just let it all go. Kev and I loved bombed each other when we first got together. We moved in together 6 weeks after we started dating.
Gemini did that as well, pretty much. Like, in fact, he pretty much moved in like when we first met, really, and then he moved out for a little bit to live with his friend, but he never really moved out. He was just like, I feel like I should have a place of my own, which was very sensible. Right. But yeah.
And I remember my friends looking at me thinking, is this okay? Is this okay that you're doing this, especially as you're just coming out of a marriage? However, the marriage was dead a couple of years before we actually sort of I moved out. But I remember the first time we got together, Kev said, I am going to see you every single day. I don't care where I am, where I've been working. I am going to come and see you every single day. I was like, yeah. Whereas some people would have been, ooh. Yeah. So it's a thing, and I've definitely got another friend who's possibly wired up like this, who I know has experienced similar intensities all along the years. It's it can come and go, but I imagine if you were on the other side of somebody's intensity, it might feel a bit overwhelming, alarming, creepy, stalker-like.
Maybe it would be a good idea to like describe the difference, because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they had described like the bad form of love bombing, and it kind of made me think of negging as well. You know how some of those like
I don't know negging.
Oh my god! So this is like another technique that is bandied around in the dating world of like basically incels, as far as I can tell. But like negging is where you give women backhanded compliments, and it almost always is men doing this to women because men. And it's like backhanded compliments or pulling them down, or saying something that on the surface might seem nice but actually is a negative thing. So that's why it's called negging, and it's designed to raise their status and lower your status.
Ooh, okay.
And it can work really well on some people. Anyway, but that's kind of what it reminded me of, because the love bombing thing that I heard about on the podcast was like totally like overwhelming the woman with like loads of love notes and texts and gifts and monetary gifts and all sorts, and especially in this case, and this is going to sound really awful, and I don't mean it to, but like the difference in status and in looks of the two people were very different. So you would kind of look at them and think this makes no sense, because the woman was she was a little bit older, she was very low status and kind of low economic status as well, and the guy who was love bombing her was kind of the opposite of all that. And it's and that is not at all to say that you can't have unequal partners, but just like if they had never met each other before, you immediately were like, what's going on here? And the whole point was to get her to be a drugs mule.
Oh my god.
And she lost every, like, and the whole story gave me the absolute rage, because it was just like systemic misogyny and racism and classism all in one. But the way that it had happened was through love bombing, because he just like overwhelmed her with all of this stuff and like promising, we're going to get married and we're going to do this, and how can you just do this for me, and like asking for little things that got bigger and bigger and bigger. And this poor woman ended up, she didn't really know what she was doing. Like she didn't really know what she was doing. And so I feel like that's kind of a really good example, a horrible example of like problematic love bombing, and that's not what we're talking about today.
No, it's not. It's definitely not what we're talking about today. It's definitely do you know what? I put it through Google Gemini and see how it described love bombing with ADHD, and it came up with the phrase, when excitement turns unbalanced.
But like unbalanced is like, so that is ADHD. That is ADHD. It's like we're unbalanced.
And we like it most of the time. It's great.
Yeah. That's really interesting description.
Yeah, I know. It's quite funny, isn't it? It said that it tends to be intense but fleeting, not always manipulative, more about excitement. So yeah, that's definitely how I feel it.
I would say never manipulative, or never like deliberately, like, because what I just described, the podcast thing, was like deliberate. That was a deliberate ploy to exploit the woman, and this is just like, might feel manipulative from the point of view of the person who's on the receiving end of it.
Yeah,
but it never is from the point of view of the person who's doing it. It's just like a lack of awareness.
Right.
I think it's quite common with autistic people as well.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. Especially because they don't like, especially because like we often struggle with social norms and like what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable, and you know, feeling like you haven't had the social handbook that everybody else has had. So it's just like, what is an acceptable level of attention to pay to somebody?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, that's right. And you sort of you sometimes get the the advice, follow your heart, be yourself. But there was one time when this guy that I was just obsessed with, I wanted to buy him a really lovely watch, and it was like it was a sort of thing you'd buy your husband, you know, and I didn't really have the money to afford it either, and I had to really stop myself and go, oh, I think I might be just like getting really overexcited here. And I kind of had a little bit of self-awareness that he might find it weird, but it was just something I wanted to do out of sheer joy of like being in a relationship with him. And it's that, like that you say, it's not manipulative when it's done from the ADHD point of view of just excitement. And I'm not saying there aren't any ADHD manipulators out there, because there might be.
Yeah, because they're humans.
Because they're all humans too. Yeah. But it's more about getting that little bit of self-awareness about it, that you might be a little bit different, and it might be a little bit scary to the other person.
Especially if you don't know them very well. And I wonder if there's a parallel here with like parasocial relationships as well. So like, you know, when you feel like you've got a favorite celebrity and you know a lot about them and they've got no clue you even exist, and it can feel, because I've read some stuff recently about how weird it is for celebrities to like be in this weird parasocial relationship with people and having all of these people. And I've experienced a little, like, I'm not a celebrity, but like I've experienced a little bit of this myself, because I remember doing my first event and I had obviously I had people come to it, and I had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, hi," and how is blah blah blah, and I was like, I literally haven't, and it really freaked me out. It really freaked me out because like I literally had no idea who they were, and I knew that they were there because they knew me, but like because I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And like that was a tiny taste of what it must be like for a celebrity. So like that must be super scary. But I wonder if there's like a little bit of a parallel with that somewhere. It's like because you have like a hyper focused interest on somebody, and so you're like, oh, I know quite a lot about this person. They might not know that much about you. They might have only met you once or twice, and so there's that kind of there's an imbalance in not so much power, although maybe it feels like it, but like an imbalance in knowledge.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. And do you know what? I'm actually quite grateful that when I was doing my growing up and dating years that I didn't have social media, because I'd have been so obsessed with some of the guys that I'd want to know everything about them, and not in a creepy way, just like super interested.
Yeah.
I say not in a creepy way, but it probably really does sound creepy.
But I know what you mean though, because like if I was on the receiving end of it, and probably we'd be a little bit like, about that. But I totally get it, because I had very similar things. Like when there were guys that, and I did a similar thing to you. When I must have been about 15 or 16, and it was my godparents' son, and I had gone through a bit of a phase of being like totally obsessed with him, and I bought him a St. Christopher on a chain, and like looking back, it was like didn't have the money to do that anyway. It was an H. Samuels special from H. Samuels, but like looking back on that, I feel really cringe about that as well, because it's like, oh, that's such a cringy thing to do.
It was. Sorry, my phone went off in the middle of you. Did you hear it?
That's okay. Yeah, no, I could just see your face, and it made me laugh.
I had the ADHD, I can't focus thing. It's like, how do I turn my phone off? Because I'm listening to you and I'm trying to look nonchalant. And
yeah, you did not look nonchalant, but it's fine.
So yeah, you just had this feeling of the St. Christopher, and it was like you really wanted to get him something nice. And
because he was like he was talking about going traveling around, and he's St. Christopher's a patron saint of travelers and all of that kind of thing. So I was just like, but I've also got a couple of ADHD friends who are very similar to that, and they're like they will get you gifts. Like they will I guess that gift giving is like their love language anyway. Yeah. But like it'll be to the point where I'm like, I know you can't afford to give me these gifts, and and it's just like, oh, you don't have. But also that's just it's just the way they operate and the way they show their affection and their love and all the rest of it. And it's really lovely, but also it's odd.
Yes.
And I say that as somebody who does it. It's like it's odd.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's when you said about people who are in your community who know you better than you know them. I've had a very micro experience of that myself by sharing a lot of my life through my daily emails, and people who I don't know seem to know me, and it almost feels like strange over familiarity, doesn't it? It's like, oh, but yeah, I think it's really nice when people do say nice things and ask how the babies are and all that kind of thing. It's lovely. However, that I think it's when it feels out of balance, it starts to get strange, isn't it? And maybe that's why you've ended up with Joe, I've ended up with Kev, because we kind of understood what was going on and didn't scare each other off.
I'm boggled every single day that I am lucky enough to have a Joe, because like I'm so weird. Like
you're wonderful and weird.
So like yesterday, I'm now thinking about this, and I'm like, why did I do that? I was sitting next to him on the sofa, and I was ringing him by like pressing his nose and making ringing noises until he answered.
That is brilliant.
I'm like, that's so fucking weird. But also, I feel like that's the kind of thing that with ADHD do. We're just a bit fucking weird, and that's okay. I had some very important news for him. But coming back to it, it's just like, that's the kind of because he's very neurotypical, and which is a good thing because otherwise would be a disaster. But yeah, it's just, I'm boggled that we got this far, because I think most people would have run a mile from my like weird neuroses. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you find your lobster, it's amazing.
It is. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And and he probably he loves you even more because of your weirdness, I expect.
He does say that. He says he feels like just another bloke, and I'm like, well, you're not. You're amazing.
Oh, that's just the cutest, isn't it? Oh, I feel all mushy now. Oh, so you were lucky you love bombed him.
Yeah, and so you were lucky you got love bombed.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was both.
You love bombed each other.
Yeah, we did. We totally did. Lots of emails and texts and all that kind of thing. And this is before like WhatsApp, I think. But yeah, it was just really, really nice. We felt an immediate connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really special, and it's really cool, and I love it.
Yeah. But a phrase that you brought up earlier, parasocial relationships. I hadn't heard that phrase before, but it reminds me of a friend who gets very, very intense parasocial crushes, like really intense. Gets cardboard cutouts of that of the person in their bedroom, and like gets duvet covers and.
Yeah, that would freak me out if I saw a cardboard cutout of something. Like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and that'd be my like sleep paralysis demon. Yeah, but I guess that kind of obsessive behavior is quite normal for people like us, isn't it? It's I guess so, yeah.
Yeah,
because I do a similar thing, not with like cardboard cutouts and duvet covers, but like I will go on I went on an absolute wormhole, a YouTube wormhole. It's always YouTube, of Henry Cavill interviews, because Henry Cavill is he's just the most delightful human. Like he's really hot, and he's really funny, and he's a massive nerd, and he's like, are you actually the perfect man? Like is the what? But he's so funny, and so like I just went down this wormhole of like trying to find every single interview he'd ever done and every single outtake he'd ever had, had happened.
Yeah.
So funny. And yeah, I've done that with most of the Marvel crew as well. But yeah, it's like this kind of, I guess mine's very passive. It's just like watching YouTube videos. But yeah, I will have a little obsession with somebody. It's like, gotta look at all of their stuff.
Yeah. I went a little. I don't necessarily always have obsessions with good-looking people either. And I don't want to say that James May isn't good-looking, but there is a time when I was just obsessed with James May, and I just wanted to look at him and watch him.
He's so funny though.
He is funny. He's so dry and cool, isn't he? Yeah, but I just, there is something that just makes me want to sit and watch certain people. So I totally get that.
Yes, yeah. And you're right. It's not really about looks. For Henry Cavill, it's just like a bonus that he looks the way he looks, which is just like mental. But like he's just so funny. Like funny people, I will obsess over for months. Yeah. Just get drawn in by them, don't you? Tim Minchin. I was a little bit weird about Tim Minchin for a while. Same. He is like, again, he's just like, he's so smart. Like he's so, I want to take his brain out and like bite it. Tim Minchin, if you're listening, I'm really sorry. That sounded really fucking threatening. I'm not going to do that.
I totally get it. It's just like, oh my god, you are so just imaginative and smart and just brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, so because I catastrophize all the time. Like I catastrophize my entire life, and I have literal panic attacks when I think of something happening to Joe, and I'd be like, apart from the fact that like I wouldn't be able to deal with that at all, but then I would go on to all, what would I do? Like I would be alone. I'm terrible at being alone. So then I would be like, oh well, Henry Cavill's about my age. I reckon we get on really well. And so like I could like have this plan.
I love it.
Like I'd have this whole plan as to be like, right, well, if that ever happened, then I need to have a contingency plan, because look at where like I've seen my friends in the dating world. It's a fucking hellhole out there, and it's just like the bar is in hell. It's like I don't want to do any of that, so it's just like I'm gonna have to have an actual plan to meet somebody if anything ever happens to Joe and I find myself on my own.
Oh, do you know what? I think I do feel lucky to be in a relationship myself, because but when I was with my
funny story for you in a second, but carry on.
Okay. when I was with my a group of people the other day, one of them is on Tinder. She's single and she's looking for a new partner, and I don't know how I cope with the swiping and all the things. There's like the decision fatigue you must get on the swiping. It would just do my noodle. And I'd also feel really, I'd probably do the thing where you go into a pound and you find the animal that's like been left by everybody else. And you don't want it to get exterminated, or
Only in Tinder there's a reason that person has been left there. They're there for a reason. Leave them in the corner.
But what if they're just delightfully weird and nobody else appreciates them?
I think those people get snapped up pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll trust that. I'll trust that.
With my vast knowledge of dating. I have a friend, and this friend is going on many dates at the moment, and they've been really lucky. They've had some really good times. And they were telling me about, I'm deliberately keeping them gender neutral because I don't want their identity to come out, because I do not have permission to tell their story. But just like with the whole cesspit of the dating world, they ended up in a sexual situation, which is fine, and that was the aim. Giving a blowjob, and the person on the receiving end just went bingo, and it's like, no.
Oh my god!
I know, and I was like, how did you not just get up and leave? Like, I would have just got up and left.
Yeah, no, that would be like, oh.
Dating advice from Vicky and Vicki: the words bingo should never leave your lips. Unless you're actually at bingo.
Well, no, this is true, but guess what? Guess what word is going to pop into my head next time I'm in that sort of situation? It's bound to. It's just fancy, so thank you for that.
You are welcome. I hope that I've ruined literally everybody's sex lives who is watching this. Sorry about that.
Oh god. Oh, that's pretty bad.
Anyway, that kind of, we veered off from where we started.
We did, but I suppose
from love bombing to blowjobs.
We're gonna have to put a parental advisory, aren't we, on YouTube on this, because
contains material that is not suitable for anybody.
I think it's just suitable for us, all this stuff, isn't it? It's just like, yeah. I feel like, yeah, but
I don't know. I mean, maybe we should do an episode about sex at some point, because I feel like that's like different for ADHD people as well. So maybe we should. Maybe this is the teaser. This is the love bomb for the for the sex episode. Sex episode.
Yeah. I think that is actually going to be quite an interesting one, because it's very much different for everybody, but it can cause all sorts of problems in different ways.
Yes.
As well as the good. I'm not saying it's all problematic sex. Some of it's all right.
Yeah. Some of it's all right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but things. Yeah, but yeah, I can see where this is going, and I know we're like 1 minute till the end of our recording here, so we can't go into it. I just want to go into it now, but I can't.
I know. So I feel like I totally derailed the love bombing thing, and it's like we should just say it's normal for ADHD people, and try not to freak anybody out.
Yes. Just know how excited you are. And what's the other thing that Gemini says? Talk about expectations and healthy relationship development. You might need to calm the fuck down.
I feel like that's good advice. Good advice for. Well, no, it's not. It's terrible advice across the board. But like, it's kind of good advice for like ADHD people. It's just like, just calm the fuck down a bit.
Yes, perhaps we ought to write a book about that. Calm the fuck down, because
calm your tits.
Yes. Just really quick. You know, like did you know I always wear makeup when I go out? Always.
I did know, yes.
It's like the thing I always do. Yesterday, I was so excited about something. I went out and took my dog out without putting my makeup on, and I got halfway down the road and I was like, I didn't.
And you didn't die. Look at you.
I didn't die, and nobody pointed and laughed at me or anything.
Because you're beautiful with or without makeup.
Oh, thanks, Vix. Thanks. Well, I just thought I'd share that with you because it was so weird. But I was totally overexcited about designing a treatment plan for a hypnotherapy volunteer. And I managed to walk 10 miles and hardly realize that 10 miles had gone.
That's
I was
cool.
just stomping on, and just it all went in a flash. And I was so excited that I went out with no makeup and just like basically jogged around 10 miles with my dog. Weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just thought I'd share that in my overexcited way. Have you got anything to conclude with, or are you feel like you're love bombed out?
I climbed a tree yesterday.
Pardon? You climbed a tree?
Climbed a tree, yeah. We went geocaching for the first time in 10 years.
What's
and
that?
we thought we'd go geocaching again. So do you know what geocaching is?
Oh.
It's like a treasure hunt, but it's like an online treasure hunt. And so people hide things in places. You might like this because you go dog walking a lot.
Yeah.
And so you get the app, you download the app, and then wherever you are, you can have a look and see where there are geocaches, and you get like little follow to the coordinates, and you get little clues, and you can have a look, and it might be like a really tiny, or it might be like a Tupperware thing, and check out. You can go down a wormhole, but anyway, it's a really nice way, because Joe and I wanted to go walking more, and we don't have a dog, so and we're lazy, so most of the time we don't go for a walk, and so we thought, oh, we'll start geocaching again, because it's just a way to get yourself out and about and on a like proper circular walk and stuff. So we did that, and on the way we found a massive oak tree that we climbed, and it was great.
That's so cool. That's brilliant. Oh, congratulations. That sounds like you had a fun day. A fun day.
It was a fun day. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I love the fact of going back to something that you used to find fun.
Yes.
So often we have interests and we burn out, and then we forget about them, and we forget about what fun it actually was.
Yeah,
so,
we were obsessed for several years, and then we just stopped. I think when we moved here, because there aren't many geocaches around where we are, so we were like, maybe we should place some. So we might place some of our own.
Yeah. So what do you put in the boxes?
Whatever you like. There's a logbook. There's a little logbook where people will write their date and the name their name and the date that they found it. And then sometimes they just have like little trinkets in, like maybe foreign coins, or like the one we found yesterday had like a little model of a dragon hatching out of an egg. Or little tokens. You can also get trackable tokens, which like to travel around the world. So it might be like you might put a trackable in there, and it'll have like a barcode and stuff on, and it might be like, I want to go to Peru, and so it'll travel around the world.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And so there's all sorts of people put collectibles in there, but most of them are quite small, and most of them they just have like the little logbook. So
brilliant. Okay, I'm definitely going to look into that, because I can imagine making up a little pot and putting something in it and a little note saying bingo. Yes. Yeah, so everybody will know that it's one that I've done.
Yes.
Or they might think it's you.
They might think it's me, or they might think it's my friend. I don't know.
Or your friend's weird date. No. Lovely to see you. I think it's bank holiday next weekend, isn't it?
It is, yes. So
Yes. So
none of this next week.
2 weeks time, and have a lovely bank holiday. Enjoy the sunshine.
You too. Thanks, Vicky.
Yay. That's enough. Bye.